Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast. A bit of a weird episode this week. We're previewing Worlds in February, which is... my head's still not around this. Not in the slightest, Dan.
This is one of the more weird world champs I think we'll ever have.
Yep.
I mean, obviously the main focus is going to be the Olympics, but yeah, we've got the Worlds in February, and yeah, the main goal is to be Olympic champion, not world champion this year. I mean, saying that, mind you, there are still some big names swimming out in Doha, which still makes this extremely competitive.
So yes, the aim of this podcast is to preview the 2024 Doha World Championships, which the swimming in the pool gets underway on the 11th of February and lasts until the 18th. And as part of this podcast, what we have done in our build-up leading into us recording is we put out like Q&A response, so everyone on our Instagram could ask us a question, and those questions might make their way into this podcast as we go along. We'll answer them as we flow through the topics that we're going to cover.
I'm sure they'll pop up.
Yeah, definitely. But yes, so this podcast, we're going to be mainly talking about the Brits, which is what we always do here at Propulsion Swimming Podcast. If this is your first preview episode with us, I'm sorry if you wanted us to deep dive into the Americans, the Canadians. It's not our knowledge base. It's not even our audience base. Our audience base is the Brits. We're going to be talking about it. And actually, it's one of the strongest teams on paper heading to the World Championships.
It is. I suppose maybe we should start off saying, is it a surprise? Is it a surprise, the squad that we've taken for you?
Okay, so not even 12 months ago, February, weird. Last summer, we did a review podcast and we said, this is the World Championships no one wants to go to. No one wants to turn up for this. All of the big swimmers came out and said, nah, not interested. A few of them are here for British swimming. Are we surprised? If you had told me 8 months ago, yes. But from speaking round to a lot of the British swimmers, a lot of them see this as a huge confidence potential building meet. It's a massive stepping stone heading into the Olympics. And rarely do you get an opportunity to race weakened field, but also race through the rounds, get that practice in ahead of the Olympics, because there's still semi-finals, there's still finals.
Yep.
And then get the chance to podium and earn quite a big payday. So am I surprised?
Yeah.
No, not from speaking to swimmers.
Yeah, I was very much one of the two extremes. I thought we were either going to fly in, fly out just for that relay, or I thought we were going to take a big team, and it's happened to be that. And I do think, because it's a weakened field, there is some money to be made here. You know, you're sort of like fringe contenders, let's say, who then suddenly have a chance to be on the podium and be a world championship medalist. There's some incentive there.
It's a weird mindset we're heading into this meet, because usually when we talk about swimming and what makes swimming successful, it's medals.
Yes.
But right now we're talking money, which is a weird concept, but me and you know, like, we need money to make a job, make a living. There's big prize money on offer, and there's medals up for grabs for a lot of these swimmers there, and for a lot of them, a world championship gold, like a few of them, it's not out of the question. That is a massive payday in their careers. So when I say, like, earning money for winning a gold, I'm talking 20k. That is the prize money on offer, $20,000. Second is 15,000. Third is 10,000. That's a big amount of money for a British swimmer. We all know that. So it is a big incentive for a lot of these people. We go into it. A lot of them are swimming maybe not their one favorite event. Like, they seem to be keeping cards close to their chest.
Which I find weird if you know that prize money is on offer.
Well, but it's a little bit of poker going on, I feel.
It seems like that. It's a little bit of game of chess, isn't it? Yeah.
Shall we start then with the only objective I care about for this meet? Qualify that 4x1 relay for Paris, please, boys.
I mean, if it takes like a 1 second takeover, then I'm all happy for that. I mean, we did a bit of maths beforehand, didn't we? And the guys have got to go 3:16, which is then the top sort of 16 in the world, isn't it?
Based on last World's times, so
yes,
there could technically be 16 faster teams than that this World, but I doubt it.
I mean, we're thinking too hard about it. I mean, the guys have got to go 49s. I mean, that should
lower
be
than 49s.
Yeah. They should be fine. Again, as long as they don't get DQ'd again. So, fingers crossed. I'm pretty sure they're going to have a bit of a stern word to make sure those takeovers are as safe as they could possibly be.
Yeah, and when I think you said in the prediction, we thought a few people would go to this meet fly in, fly out. We thought that was the case for this relay. That is the case for one swimmer. Tom Dean is just doing this relay and going home. I believe he's the only one from what I've seen, because everyone else either has an individual or has another relay. But I presume the 4x1 team is Dino, Whittle, Duncan. Richards. I believe, based on looking at the entry times, we're recording this a little bit ahead of the time, so we don't know the exact team. But I think that's the team, and they are all in season. They can get that time. I would pretty sure of that. No one needs to taper down to go 49s out of those lot.
Yeah, it's almost, you don't want to say a certain or a guarantee, but, you know, those guys are more than capable of going sub-49s this early in the season.
Other relays then, if we just stick on that topic, the 4x2 for the guys is racing, but like we said, Dino is not entered on that from what we can see. But Joe Litchfield is. So the makeup of that is going to be really interesting. Does Matt stick around and do that one? We don't know. But Jack McMillan's there, who's entered in the individual 200 meters freestyle. So potentially he could get his shot on that relay team. Duncan, I would have thought, doing it because he's doing the 200 individual as well.
You got Matt Litchfield, who's making an appearance this time.
Yeah, he could do it as well.
First time in a while. He's more than capable of going a strong 200 free. So there's a few names. There are a few names.
And again, that is a relay that has potential for gold at this meet, like the 4x1 in reality.
Yep.
Just simply because there isn't the depth of the other team. The 4x1, maybe Italy might give them a run for the money, because Italy are taking a very strong team.
It's not just the men as well, because the women, I think, have a strong chance of like a 4x2 medal as well. If you take out the Australians, of course, and I know the Americans are there, so I assume they're going to win gold. But I think the GB women have a strong shout of getting a medal, which would be great news.
The entries, looking at it, Medi Harris is actually only there for relays. Kind of surprised me. I thought she might do a few backstroke. I kind of had a feeling, looking at her, how she swam recently, that the 2-back might have come into her schedule.
Yes.
But she's not racing it. She's just racing the 4x2 and the mixed medley. Now, the mixed medley is an interesting entry for me, in the fact that there's not really your specialist male fly swimmer. So one of the Q&As that we actually got on Instagram leading into this event was, does Duncan do the butterfly in the 4x1 mixed medley? Based on the teams entered, Medi looks like the only set swimmer. You would expect a male breaststroker, just because there isn't a female breaststroker there. There is a female fly swimmer, so Laura Stevens could potentially swim it, but I actually like Matt Richards swimming it, the 100 fly. He might test his schedule leading into Paris, leading into trials, and race quite a lot.
Yeah, it's funny, because I was going to bring that up, because I think Matt might do it as well. I know Duncan is maybe the faster on time, but I remember Matt, when he came on the podcast late last year, he was saying that he's been trying out the 100 fly, and maybe this is the time to try it. I mean, there's nothing really on the line for him. Give it a go. Why not?
So when I say he might test his schedule, obviously he's not doing the 2 free. He's only doing the individual 100, but he will be doing the 4x1, most likely the 4x2. He could do this relay. It tests him out quite well. And I know behind the scenes that he's been looking at spending as little time at the venue as possible. Like, his warm-ups are pretty short now. His cool-downs are pretty short. He's seeing what he can get away with. So this meet actually could be a really good chance for him to test that with semi-finals, with finals, with relays, and see what comes out the other end.
What's everything that Tom Dean's already done at, like, the commies, for example, when he was racing, what was it, 16 times or maybe even more? So testing what he can do. And, of course, Tom's come out saying that he wants to win 5 medals at the Olympics, which is, I think 4 is an absolute possibility, but that 5th that's tough. Yeah. But you've got to try these schedules out, and of course, if it works for him, then who knows what he can do. But I think it's a good time for him to test out this plan or this theory, then, if you want to say that.
It's almost like training program in a meet.
Yeah, a little bit like that. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through the individuals for British swimming then, because there's some really interesting, eye-raising selections. I'm going to start with some Q&A questions. Duncan's doing the 2 free, we mentioned it. Is he going to be back to the 144s?
Ooh.
Not this time of year, surely.
If you take a look at the entry list, for the 200 free for the men, it is pretty. I know Popovich is not there, but
And
Matt's not racing it, and Dino's not racing it. So you're looking at the top three kind of gone, let's say. But it's still pretty stacked. I mean, Hwang Sung-woo is there, Luke Hobson is there. So there's quite a few that can really challenge that
Elijah
podium.
Winnington.
Yeah, Whittington is there, true. But will...
Yeah, there's a lot of 400 swimmers coming down.
Yeah, will he be back in the 144s? I don't think so, but I think he'd be close. I think he'd go a low 45, like 145, 1 or 2, something like that. That would be my guess. Because he's going to have to go that time to even compete at the moment at these guys, I think.
What are you thinking, like trials-wise? He's got to go 144.
When trials comes around, that's a different thing.
That's a different podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also racing with him is Jack McMillan. So he's doing the 2-3 and the 4-3, which to me is super interesting because the 4-3, there's been a massive gap in British swimming for a long time. Like Kieran Bird blew the doors off at Tokyo trials. He's just coming back into form now. He did really well up in Edinburgh's Scottish Winters. But I've kind of bigged up, on this podcast, I have bigged up Jack McMillan for a little while.
You have?
Like the 200 relay, I think he's a key cog in that. He didn't get a chance to show it last year. The 400, it's a bit of an open door. Who can win that at trials? And potentially that's his way to make on the team if he goes, I think it's like a 3:43. It's fast.
Quick. Yeah, I mean, Dan Jervis' last trials went 3:46, I think, which was just about good enough, I think. I'm trying to go off memory here, but this is trials, mind you. But yeah, interesting talking about Jack going on the 400. Usually, if you're a swimmer who's, let's say, is a 200 swimmer going upwards, you're trying to work on that back-end speed or a bit of pace work or something like that, and maybe that's what he's trying to do. And maybe he has that front-end speed right now, and he's just trying to build the back-end and try and come back stronger. Maybe that's the plan. Or he is actually transferring and going up to the 400. Who knows? We shall see.
Another question from the Q&A that came in was who wins the 100 breaststroke. So actually this is Adam Peaty's first Worlds in quite a while.
It is, yeah.
And yes, Qing Haiyang isn't at this Worlds. Maybe he's taking that break that we talked about earlier on in the season, that he's got to have that stop at some point. But it's a very, very strong field with Kaminga, Fink, Martinenghi. I think Michael Andrews there, but I don't think he's swimming anything more than a 50.
He's in a 50, yeah.
So Peaty's got a really tough field for his comeback. We said at the end of the World Series, the World Cup Series, actually this is the fastest he's ever been this time of year.
True.
I'd be disappointed if he didn't win. I'll be brutally honest. I think this is a chance to lay a marker down without Qing there.
It sends a message.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I mean. I think this is his chance to, like the whole of this British swimming team, is a chance for a confidence builder.
Yes, yeah.
Momentum builder.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously been out training abroad right now, as have a lot of the other guys as well. So I assume he's coming back and ready and he's in some sort of decent shape. I agree. I think I would be relatively disappointed if he didn't come away with a gold medal. I think he'll medal. A gold medal is obviously the key. I think Nick Fink will probably be his biggest challenge. But then again, Kaminga and Martinenghi, they're all strong, aren't they? They're all strong. But yeah, I would hope Adam comes away with the golds, because then, like you say, sends a good message out to Qing Haiyang that, you know, I'm here and I won't lie down. I want my title back.
We talked a lot about the guys so far, so let's shift this over to the women's side, because for me this is almost a bigger meet for the women than the guys who are going there. Every Europeans, the women always step up. I think last year they won more medals than the guys, and this is their chance to do it without a strong Australian team. There's a few strong Americans, but not like a big American team going. And for me, the swimmers who could really make a mark heading into Olympics are the likes of Abby Wood, Freya Colbert, maybe Kathleen Dawson on her comeback. It's really interesting to see what she does. Lucy Hope gets a shot in the 2-3, which I'm really interested to see.
Yeah.
And Lauren Stevens in the 2-fly. So it's the Dave Hemming squad who've really chosen this meet as the building meet, the chance to swim through the semi-finals, the finals. All of them, I would say, should final, given the fields. So they've got a chance of racing 3 times through. Who out of that lot for you, Dan, is the most interesting to look out for in Doha?
Well, it's interesting because right at the very beginning, you know, we said that a lot of swimmers haven't chosen their favourite events. And actually, it mainly is, looking at this list here, the Hemming squad that have decided to do their main events. So Abby is doing a 2IM. You got Laura doing the 2 fly. You got Freya doing the 4 IM, for example. So it's probably the only ones that have chosen to do their main events, and because of that, and with a weakened field, we keep talking about it with no Australians and some Americans aren't there. I think a lot of these girls have a great chance of not just finaling but also medaling. Especially when you look at Abby Woods. Like, I know the 200 IM is absolutely stacked, and that's without there's a few names that still aren't even there. Like, some McIntosh is not racing. Kaylee McEwen is not racing. Alex Walsh is not racing. You think, oh my word! So it's when it comes to the Olympics, that'll be a tough final to make. But I had Laura Stevens, 200 fly. I think she could do it.
And then
Freya Colbert, of course,
as a medal.
Yeah. No, medal. Well, hopefully win. That'll be amazing, but definitely medal. And then Freya Colbert, I believe that she's going in fastest entry for this 4 AM. So
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a big chance for her to really lay down a marker, because we've been saying, like, her and Katie Shanahan in that 4 AM, there may be medal potentials at Paris. They've still got drops to go. Don't get me wrong. Like, they're nowhere near the finished articles. But interesting, she races the 2-back as well, Freya.
Yes.
There's a bad clash at trials or British champs between the 2-back and the 2 AM, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure the 2-back is actually going to be in her program there. I think time will tell. But the 4 AM, you're right. She is one of, if not the fastest heading into that, and I would expect prize money, big prize money for her from that.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, a name that you didn't mention was Lauren Cox. So she was the only one to medal at last year's Worlds in the 50 back.
She's do that again in the 50 back.
I think she can go one better potentially, if not 2 better. She's doing a 50 and the 100, so another chance to go at a sub 60 time, which then puts her in great stead for trials. The women I think they've got a great chance here, like you keep saying, the confidence builder, especially going into trials, the biggest trials of a lot of these swimmers' careers. It's going to be fascinating. It is.
A lot of them are using it as their springboard meet heading into trials. Like, usually swimmers in Britain go to the Edinburgh International.
Yes, yeah.
But this is sitting so weirdly in the season that a fair few of them, are going to this and then going off to Australia as a training camp. And then we'll see them again at trials. That's the only time we'll see them.
Yes.
So it is like the big meet. It feels weird, but it's almost the build-up meet for trials.
Well, it's the prep meet, isn't it?
Which is
some will still go to Edinburgh International, but a lot of them are doing this. Which is why I still get a little bit confused why some of these swimmers aren't doing their favourite events. When you take
like Matt only doing the 100.
Yeah.
I get
Jimmy
that.
Guy, for example. Yeah, it's an interesting one.
It is. Again, like we said, it's a game of poker slightly for some of these. I don't think Matt wants to show his hand of what he's capable of in the 2 free, the 100 free. He's actually going to have his work cut out. Like, the sprint events at this are loaded.
Yeah.
Let's finish our British predictions or run through with medal predictions, Dan. Like, we always do this. We always get it wrong. Let's put our name to some of these predictions. What do you think is going to happen?
What do I think is going to happen in terms of, you want a number?
Let's go through them. Which medals do you think are possible? And let's start on the women.
Women. Well, I've spoken about Laura Stevens. I think there's a great chance of a 200 fly medal.
I have just looked, actually, at the entry list, and there is just Lana Puda, and that is almost it in terms of her competition. Capas.
Oh, Capas is strong. Yeah. But even still, I still think
and that's
Laura,
it. Like, there's a bronze there. There's a perfect minimum.
Yeah, so I think Laura will get a medal. Freya in the 400 IM, I think it'll be a medal. And then, depends. Abby wouldn't. I spoke about how strong the 200 IM is, but Abby is part of that strength. She's in the list of potential winners, I suppose, but medal definitely. So I think if she's on an A game, definitely.
That 200 IM list. So when Dan said it's hard, it's still a stacked event. Okay, so there's Sydney Pickram, Yu Yating, Kate Douglas. There's just 3 straight out who are incredibly good swimmers. Gorbenko.
Yes.
It is a very strong field, albeit the top 3 in the world aren't there.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna be fast, and it might take like a 2-0 this time of year is nuts to say. 208, 209
to win it. Or to medal.
Because Sydney Pickram's perfectly capable of 208.
Yeah, no, I think it might even be a 282 podium. That's
Oh
how.
my God.
Honestly, the
Do
women's
you-
200 IM, when the Olympics comes round, that's a circle
Yeah, that's
event for me.
207. Yeah, but
Yeah.
208 at this. Is this meet going to be a fast meet then? Is that what you're saying? Do you
Wow.
think the
To
times
win
are going to
it,
be fast?
I think that to win that specific event, I think they're going to have to go quite quick.
Okay.
A bit like with the men's 100 free. I think those guys are going to have to go quite swift to get on that podium.
Okay.
I don't think a low 48 is going to cut it. They're going to have to go 47, 5, 6 or something like that. It's quick. It's not slow.
Just remember we're in February, Dan.
I do, but then
Swimmers swim fast. I think we don't give swimmers enough credit.
We say this every Worlds because there's so much money on the line. These guys want to actually do quite well.
Yeah.
I know Olympics is the main thing, but there's if you win, you get $20,000. That's decent. That is very good.
Can I throw a few more women's medal predictions at you?
Yes, we have gone a little bit off. Yeah, go on.
Sorry. Lauren Cox, 50 back.
Yes, of course.
Freya Colbert, 2 back. Like, I'm gonna say if she goes to 208, there's a medal there.
There's no Casey Shanahan. There's no Reagan Smith.
No one.
There's
I've
no
just
one.
had a look. Gorbenko's there.
Okay,
There's not the depth of the top of. Is there the Italian?
Pandiera.
Nope.
Wow. Well, she's got more than she could come away with a big load of money. Actually, Freya. Wow.
And the 4x2.
Yeah, of course.
The 4x2. We've spoken about that previously. That's a medal chance. Anna Hopkin, 53. There's Sjostrom there, but she's always there or thereabouts. Anna.
Again,
Shayna
50s.
Jack is there as well, to be fair. So it is going to be fast, the 50s.
Yeah, I mean, the 50s, how well you do on the day, isn't it? I mean, we'll talk about Cam McAvoy because he's there, and he's obviously going to be the favourite for that event. But yeah, anything can happen on the day for a 50 metre.
That's almost every woman who's going has a chance at a medal there, which is rare for British swimming. Let's enjoy this. Yes, it's a weekend world, but let's enjoy this moment.
Yep.
So then on the men's side, then let's go through these predictions. I'm going to kick things off and say this meet is the return of Luke Greenbank.
Yes.
And when I say return, I think he's already returned. People just aren't globally aware of it.
I know that he started training early. Was it May, June time before everyone, basically. And he has, from what I hear, been training very well. And he hit a pretty good time in Rotterdam of the time I now can't remember. I know you've got
1:56.9 it was in the 2 back, which is quick early
That's
season.
not bad. Yeah, it's pretty good. And I've always thought that he's a good 200 backstroker. I just think it was a slightly off year. The last year, was it 2 years or so?
It was just a year.
Just a year, wasn't it? But I think he's back, and I think he's ready to not just medal. I think he'll win the 200 backstroke.
Yeah, it's a strong field. Like Brody's there. Brody also swam a pretty fast time at the Rotterdam meet. He went 1:57.7. Both of them already under the nomination standard that British swimming have set for the Olympics. So they're both there. I think the Aussie is there. But yeah, you don't have the Americans in the backstroke. So yes, I'm with you. I think Luke wins a gold.
Yep, I agree.
And lays down a big marker for trials.
Yes, I think so, and especially because we talk about the depth in men's backstroke at the moment. And last year, yes, Luke kind of dropped down a little bit. Ollie Morgan took his place. Cam Brooker's coming through, but I think this will almost bring him back and cement him as the number one,
Especially in the 2 back.
Yeah, I think if he goes quicker than what he did in Rotterdam, I think that's a strong showing from him. Any other names?
I'm going to quietly throw Duncan in the 2-3. It's
There's-
a very stacked field, but I've heard Duncan is training out of his skin. I've heard he's back on form, and I'm excited for him to get the chance to race this. It's been a little while since he's raced it internationally.
What?
It was
you
Tokyo, wasn't it?
have to remember that he's the Olympic silver medalist.
Yep.
I mean, based on PBs, I think he is the fastest in this field, and I know he hasn't been 144 since Tokyo, so it's been a while. But
I don't think he needs a 144 to win this.
No, nor do I. Well, like I said at the start, I think he can go 145 low, and that will probably be a medal. Like 44s this time of year just sounds barbaric to me, but but it could very well happen. Duncan's always got a chance. In Duncan we trust. Every time he races, he will have a chance of winning that race.
I think he's also got a chance for a medal in the 2 AM. There's no Leon Marchand, but I believe there is Carson Foster there. So that's a
Yes.
really good head-to-head with them. He obviously beat Carson last year at Worlds. I think the 2am has been a focus for him for a little while. So 2 individual races for Duncan. There's a chance for 2 medals at another Worlds.
Plus the relays, of course, as well. So, yes, he could come away with quite a few World Championship medals, absolutely.
Money.
Often being gold as well, yeah.
Who else have you got? Who have you got? I've gone through a few of mine.
Well, we spoke about Adam, and I think he will, like we say, be slightly disappointed if he didn't win the 100. And if that is the case, then you kind of hope he wins the 50 as well. So that should be 2 golds going his way. And then, of course, Ben Proud. I know he's going up against Cam McAvoy.
That is a big field, mind.
So the gold might be tough, but, Ben Proud, I've always said it, he's one of the best sprinters that's ever been. And he's
It's a chance to
slowly...
put pressure on McAvoy.
Yeah, I wouldn't say slowly, maybe slowly, but he's starting to prove that now.
Fastly?
Yeah, it's quite quick, to be fair. I don't know why I said slowly. And he is always a threat, always. If he's in the final, he will have a chance of winning, kind of the same as Duncan, to be fair. But Cam McAvoy goes in as favourite just because of what he did last year. But again, I don't know what kind of form these guys are in, being a 50. And then, of course, the relays as well. So I think the men have a good chance, just like the women. I think there could be a boatload of medals coming our way.
What about Matt in the 100? Yeah, no?
It's such a big field, and I don't know.
Okay, so the big field is Morezi, Huang Sunwu, Pan Zhang Li.
Yeah.
I think Kai Taylor's there in the 100. It is a good field. Jack Cartwright.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a shame. Out of all the events we've just gone through, they're all weekend field. There's all chance for medals. Matt's the one who has been a poster boy for the last year of British swimming, almost. He's got the hardest field of the lot, I think.
He does, yes. Will he? He's got a fantastic chance of medaling, absolutely. And he could even win the whole thing. But the field, they're all on level fitness. It's so difficult. This is why it's so weird doing this preview now.
I've got no idea what form people are in.
No, it's February. Like you're not really supposed to be going fast because they're supposed to be swimming fast in April. That's when trials are for us. And then I know Americans do it just before, 3 weeks before, 4 weeks before, same as Australia before Olympics. But our guys are supposed to be swimming in April. And then you can kind of say, right, okay, this is what you're kind of hoping for. But if I could try and guess what Matt's going to swim, I could be way off. Way off. So
Could be 47, could be 48 high. I don't think it'll be 48 high.
I'm not even going to guess.
Fair enough, fair enough. I think, from our point of view, that's the Brits covered.
I think so. Yeah.
Like, in summary, we are very excited to see what this team does. I am glad British Swimming have taken such a strong squad. Yes, for momentum and confidence for those guys in the water, but also momentum out of the water. I actually feel like this could be a big turning point in terms of the coverage leading into Paris. All of these. Can you imagine, like, BBC picking up that, British Swimming have won a ton of medals, actually, leading into Paris? It's actually going to build a bit more excitement, a bit more energy heading into champs, heading into Paris next year. It's a huge momentum-building meet that doesn't come around often.
And maybe that's part of it, with British Swimming trying to make these guys go to this meet as almost like a selling point of how big trials is going to be.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part of it.
It is going to be big.
In that respect, it's a good idea in terms of PR. In terms of expectation, would you be disappointed if we didn't come back with a double figure medal haul?
Why? No. It's February. We've just said, like, I'm not disappointed in any swim is the wrong word this time of year. Missed opportunity? Maybe, but you can't be disappointed with a February swim. You just can't. Not in an Olympic year. There's no need to be. That would be my mindset going in. This is a free hit for everyone.
Well, everyone's in the same boat, mind you, obviously, because it's too early to peak for Paris, obviously. But like you said, it's a good opportunity, and I think there's a good number of medals to be won. And with the prize money on offer, some of these swimmers can actually pay their way through for this rest of this year, and maybe a little bit more of next year as well. So there's a few incentives there, I think.
Okay, so we have one more Q&A question that came in that we need to answer on this podcast. Which world records will go or will be flirted with? Now, this list is going to be a lot shorter than previous preview shows because I don't want to repeat myself because people might have a bingo card on this of how many times we say February, but it's early on in the season. World records don't usually go this time of year, but I think we've got 3 that might go.
Well, it's because it's World Championships. The 50s are up for grabs, and I think the 3 or maybe even 4 in my head are all pretty much 50s.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'll go with my 3 or 4, and then see if you kind of agree. I think the Sarah Sostrom has been swimming well, and I think she has another great chance to certainly flirt with and maybe even break the 50-meter freestyle world record. Agree or disagree?
Flirt with, agree, break, no.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards that as well, to be fair. Men's 50 backstroke, I think, with Hunter Armstrong. Flirting with, could go, or am I completely out?
Could go.
You reckon?
Because pressure's off.
This is the thing with 50s. There is no pressure because the 50 back is not at the Olympics. And there's a little bit more pressure with the 53. But
yes. But does that go against him in the fact that he's not training for a 50 back? Who trains for a 50 back in the Olympic year? Only Michael Andrew.
Mike Andrew. But it's early speed, I suppose. And then, because remember, their trials are not till June. I mean, we're talking 5 months away. So maybe it's early season speed and then try and do the back end speed later on.
Maybe. I struggle to see it. I thought maybe, but I think Hunter Armstrong's got enough trouble making the American team in the 100, so why would he think about it? But then that plays into the same argument. Pressure's off completely. Let's just flirted with. Fine.
I think flirted with. I'm struggling to think of world records that could potentially go, and the ones that I think have the most chance of going are both the 50 and the 100 breaststroke for the women, because I think Ruta is just flying at the moment, and I know Palazzo's there as well. So she'll have someone to race against. So
I'm going to throw one more big curveball. The 4-3. I think the men's 4-3 is the strongest event at these Worlds. I think it's 7 of the top 8 are there. The only one you're missing, I believe, is Sam Short.
Yeah.
Now, Sam Short told us on this podcast that it's going to take a sub 340 to win the Olympics.
That's what he said. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Bonkers, which is a world record. Now, 7 of the top 8, we talk about momentum. I think this is a big chance for a lot of this field to lay down mental markers and to get in the heads of everyone else leading into the Olympics. It's the deepest event.
It is. Distance,
I would class it kind of on the distance end of the spectrum of the freestyle events. He's flying right now. Like in the 1500, Dan Whiffen and Hafnui go against each other there.
Yes, yeah.
But I feel like the depth of the field has a chance to pull out some worldy times. We've seen Martin swim very fast in season. He's swimming.
Winnington. Also.
Elijah Winnington's there. Hafnui's there. I've got no idea what form he's in, but if he's in anything like last Worlds, he could go
Dan
fast.
Whiffen, like I know you've just mentioned him, but Dan Whiffen,
Whiffen's there.
He's looking good at the moment, isn't he? And,
does anyone get near to Biedermann's world record, though? Maybe not.
When the Olympics comes round, I think so. But again, being Worlds and being that this is not the main competition, I don't think they get it this time round, no.
But I think Mertens has form of swimming very fast this time of year.
He does. They might drag each other through to an awesome swim. There's sometimes, I think even Sam Short was saying, like, they're not targeting these times, but because they're being dragged and
just a sprint.
They're just racing each other, these times come out. And so, yeah, I mean, you never know, but I'm not so sure. I mean, they might be within a second. I don't know.
I didn't want to record this podcast without potentially saying that the deepest event of these Worlds has a chance, because it does. It's a Biedermann supersuit record, but when you've got 7 of the top 8 in an Olympic year, probably wanting to lay down a marker, they're gonna swim fast.
Yeah, well, they have to win it. Yeah.
Okay, so this has been a little bit of an oddball propulsion swimming episode. It is a Worlds preview, in a sense.
There's nothing to go off. That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, there's nothing to go off. But we are very excited for British swimming and to see what they do. We are going to be off next week. There won't be a podcast because Worlds are happening. But we are going to be back the week after to review Worlds, to see it's almost going to be a world's review, but also a preview, our first look towards trials to see where a lot of these British swimmers are actually. And I think that's the most important aspect to take away from this. Paydays and trials preview.
Yes, absolutely. I've got nothing else to add. You've pretty much taken every word out of my mouth. So, yes.
So that just about rounds up this week's episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast. We are going to be back in 14 days, so 2 weeks, week off next week. So if you haven't subscribed already, now is the time to do so on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, so you are notified when we are back. And me and Dan will see you very soon.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next one.
You've been listening to the Propulsion Swimming Podcast with Scott and Dan. We want to thank you for joining us and invite you to subscribe to the show, as well as checking out the Propulsion Swimming YouTube channel for weekly tutorials and videos to get your swimming fix. We will be back next week. Until then, we'll catch you on the next one.